All right, Yellowjackets, season 3, episode 6, Thanksgiving Canada, which I know that they have a different Thanksgiving than us.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
so yeah, it's like a Monday.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
the second Monday of the month. I
Oh,
forget what month,
I didn't
but
even know Canada had a Thanksgiving.
yeah, I only know about that because my buddy Christian from Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast is from Canada, and he mentioned it on a show, and it said
Oh,
it was like the second Monday of whatever month,
yeah.
October maybe. So I don't
Hmm.
know why this is called that, but anyway, yeah. For the first half of this episode, I was kind of sitting back like, okay, I had like no notes. The only thing I had written down here was Ben wants to die, and that's basically like all that was set up in that first half of the episode. Other than that, I just wrote Travis is basically non-existent now. He has a
Yeah.
little moment here where he lets Natalie go in and eventually, spoilers obviously for the episode,
Yes.
Ben gets killed by Natalie because Travis looks the other way. But I feel like he has been sidelined
I do
like
too.
crazy. Like he
Yeah.
has, like even his name is in episode four's title, and it was like, the one drunk Travis thing. We were making fun of it because it was like that doesn't really apply to the episode like at all. He's not
Sure.
really involved. I thought his drunkenness would play into the episode in some way, shape, or form, but it was kind of like he was drunk and passed out or something because he
Yeah.
just wasn't almost there at all. So, yeah, I just really thought nothing was going to happen to talk about. Not that nothing happens, but sometimes there's episodes that play out and you're just like, oh, well, what the fuck are we going to talk about now?
Sure. Yeah.
But
I think this is a pretty eventful episode, I would say.
once it finally
Um,
hits that halfway point,
yes.
yeah. Okay. I think first thing to discuss here is the whole tie thing. So I had suggested that Ty's like evil self
Mm-hmm.
had basically overtaken and was posing as Ty, almost like Insidious Chapter 2, where they're posing as like the other persona is gone, but it's like no, it's just them pretending to be them.
Yeah.
And I think this episode pretty much confirms that.
Oh,
Ty
for sure.
calls on the phone.
Yes.
Now, what
She's trying
this
to
is,
contact Van.
I don't. So, unless we're going that this show is supernatural, because we've always remained like pretty ambiguous on the supernatural elements.
Sure.
But Van receives the phone call.
Yeah.
Now, is this in her head?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you could still make an argument that there's a psychological aspect because Van could be picking up subconsciously on things. She's already kind of distrustful of how Ty's been acting because of, they find out that Lottie's dead, and then in this episode, Ty has them at like this nice little like hotel spa area and is like trying to get them massages and like ordering all this like room service with lobsters and just being very like
Yeah.
extravagant. And Van calls her out on it and is like, you're acting like weird about all this,
Yeah.
to which Ty is like, I just feel bad and I want to feel good or whatever. But I think that from this episode and the last episode, like Van has been, she's been suspicious of Ty. So I think that that phone call could be just sort of like in her head of like her subconscious trying to get her to like, pay attention to it. Do I really think that that's what's happening? No, I definitely am kind of leaning more towards the supernatural aspect, but I think that with that you could at least make an argument.
Right. It's
Um
explainable
yeah.
enough. I guess just with the fact that later in the episode, Ty wakes up
Yeah.
and talks as the other Van that's trapped, or the other Ty that's trapped within her, and is like, Van, help me, or
Yeah.
whatever. So it happened before that. So it's either Van is suspicious
Mhm.
and she just so happens to be right and creates this phone call in her head, which is explaining how it's real
Yeah.
or it's supernatural, right? Like maybe could potentially become.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the show will always remain ambiguous. I don't think we're ever going to get a clear cut answer that this is supernatural, and we're always just going to be like, we have enough threads for both to be true. And I'm fine with that. In fact, I prefer it to stay that way. I think that's more interesting. And as long as they always kind of toe that line between the two,
Mm.
I think that'll always remain true to this show. I can't ever imagine them just fully doing something that's like, okay, well, now we're 100% supernatural at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So Ty clearly is like trapped inside of the tie. She can't get out. She's screaming for Van to get her out. Now, how does Van get her out? I don't know. I don't know how she
Sure.
helps her. She
Yeah.
can like talk to that tie because she was able to help her get the other one out before. Maybe she can get this one to come back. You
Mm.
know, if she talks to her the right way or does something
Mm-hmm.
that pulls it out of her. But this Van or this tie is taken over completely,
Yes.
and her main goal is to save. Both love Van, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can only assume that this tie. It's possible she's just playing a part and is pretending to love Van, but it comes across as genuine. Which obviously the like psychological argument would be that Ty has like split personality, from trauma,
Yeah.
right? But which yeah,
Don't
maybe,
they all?
yeah, right. Like that's fair. I don't know, but I think that this episode also, because of where things go with Misty's investigation when she meets with the other cult member,
Yeah.
whose name I don't remember, who tells her that Lottie met Ty. I
Yeah.
think it's her. Yeah, it's her that tells her
Yeah.
that she met Ty on that night,
Yeah.
and Ty hasn't, admitted to this. So it's
Yeah.
either the bad Ty is lying about it, or it's the good Ty that met with her and the bad Ty like took over and killed her. You know what I mean?
I
So it's
can't
one of those things.
imagine why the cult member would lie about it. It is a possibility that she's been told to lie,
Yeah.
right? Because she was given $50,000, which is the amount that Misty found on the banking
Receipt.
receipt.
Uh-huh.
So, that matches, that tracks. And so why she gave her the 50 grand is still a question mark. She says it's because well, she didn't really say. She just says kind of like, I took it because why wouldn't I?
Right. Like I'm gonna accept the
But
money.
there's got to be more to it than that.
I think there might be.
Or maybe that was it. That was kind of like to get us on a different track of like she had $50,000 and she was trying to do this with it, and this will just be the answer.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but it could be money to lie. But
It could
then
be.
she that doesn't really make any sense because Misty has to take a shot in the dark by looking through her trash and tracking her to some random Chinese food place, recognized
Right.
as a cult
I
member who
mean,
just so
could
happens to
Lottie
work that night.
sure. Could Lottie maybe anticipate that Misty was gonna be like kind of, go
No way.
investigative mode? Maybe, but I think that's probably not the case. I
Super
don't
far
think that that's
fetched.
why Lottie gave her the money. Could she have given her the money for some other reason? Yes, other than just like the apology. Totally. So, but I think that we get a really
Restart
good
the cult.
right. She's like, do it in my name, in my honor.
But
Uh
she would have to know she was going to die, right? So
she
like she
would.
takes all the money out and then ends up dead. I don't know if that's all her money because she came from wealth, but it was 50 grand. Seems like a hell of a lot of money to us, but I don't know what the hell she has in her account. Regardless, she ends up dead right after she gives away a large sum of money.
We also get another like interesting moment with Lottie this episode with young Lottie, where it's after Natalie has killed Ben and they're like having their ceremony to eat him, which is crazy. Like they don't need to actually eat him because they're not starving. Like this is just their like they're in full on like
cult mode.
Yeah, they're just crazy about this whole thing. Anyway, Lottie's like sitting there and she's like, this isn't right. Like, this isn't supposed to happen. And like, she's like looking over at like Shauna and the other girls. And it's sort of like her vision looks like a VHS or like a TV screen or something. Like, there's this
Yeah.
weird visual distortion that happens, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know what that means at all. Because obviously, as we know, like Lottie is the one among them who prior to the trip was actually like dealing with mental illness.
Yeah.
So, and she has been through a lot of trauma and not on any medication or in any kind of therapy for a while now. Which obviously there's that whole aspect of like everything that she's telling them and getting people to do. But I was really interested in whatever that was. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that
I feel like
is a
it's
meta thing or what, because that's kind of what I was thinking was like television series, like they're on TV and like there's this,
I
it looks like a
feel
TV
like
screen.
we've seen it before
We
in
might have.
something.
Yeah.
I feel like this is not the first time we've seen that
Mm.
where it looks like video distortion. Like what you're watching a VHS tape for a second here or there.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost positive we've seen that somewhere else in the show. It might have been a Lottie vision, but it yeah. And then there's also another vision that Akila has, which is
Yes.
like stop motion animation bear with a third eye,
Yeah.
which looks like something you'd see in like one of those old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stop
Yeah, it looked
motion.
really cool. And I feel so bad for her because she's just like, I don't know what this means. And I feel like constantly exposing, like, it
Would.
was bad enough that they're taking these like random mushrooms to trip, but now they're like exposing themselves to some, gas leak over and over again. And this just like can't be good for your brain.
No.
Because she's literally passing out from it each time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all that's really concerning. And, I feel also really horrible for Natalie this episode, of course. I think that everything that goes on with her and especially with Ben too, it's just if they had, like you had said, if they hadn't cut his Achilles, like if they hadn't cut his Achilles tendon, he probably would, he still want to die, probably, but maybe not as like desperately,
I agree. I don't
because
think so.
him having that, now he's so crippled that he literally can't potentially escape. Like if he had like the vague like option of hope in his head that he could maybe escape or like survive or whatever, I think that that would have changed his like mentality a little bit. Um so it's just like such a shame that they even decided to do that, because in reality he probably wasn't going to escape even if they hadn't done it, you know. Like if they were that concerned, they can also have people guarding him and like do watches and stuff. And anyway, but when they try and feed him with like a tube down his throat and he just like instantly vomits it up and everything, it's such an awful like last week of his life to like be purposely starving himself and sleeping, just in filth and everything. And Natalie finally taking pity on him, like, yeah, what else? I mean, come on.
I don't really understand why they wore masks to
Oh
come and
yeah,
do it,
yeah.
because it's like how many are there of them at this point? 10?
I
And
think,
like 6 or 7 of them were there, and you could clearly see their eyes, like he knows who you are, especially one was like so clearly
well, Misty
Travis.
like literally pulls her mask up when she does it.
The
uh
mask thing is
I
weird.
think everything that they
They're
do
like trying to hide their
is,
identity because they're trying to hide from themselves,
yeah,
not them from him.
right, exactly. They, all of their stuff that they do in the past and maybe even in the future too, but like for sure in the past, it's all very like performative and symbolic
Yes.
as like a way to protect their psyches from what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, so them killing him, or Natalie killing him, and them having this like ceremony to honor him and eat him, again, it's like they make things into rituals to give themselves meaning for why they're there, which is scary because they're like kind of devolving.
Yeah.
I think that people do give themselves rituals and meaning just in life in general, but I don't think it has to be horrific, and it is horrific what they're doing.
Yeah, so they get this vision that Ben is going to be the bridge that takes them home. Now, they start cooking his body. the fire that they're cooking them on, would assume
Yeah.
is what these potential bird watchers is what it seems like they are.
Actually, I don't think it's the fire. I think it's the fact that they're all like singing and
Oh,
there's like
sure.
that call that's out there, which it sounds like a monster, but maybe it's a bird or something.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the DAT tape that they have later in the episode,
Yeah.
Van explicitly says like bird watchers use it, which we can only assume that these people are the
And
bird
crappy
watchers
garage bands.
and crappy garage bands. Yeah. So it could be the fire, but I think it's probably the fact that they're just making a ton of noise.
Well, I'm just trying to think of like
Why he
if
would.
that works, right? If
Mm,
it really was the bridge. So the where I was taking that is if these people were drawn by the fire or at least the celebration of them eating him,
yeah.
that's what led them to the quote unquote singing. It was just literally all of them yelling at the top of their lungs. I'm not sure why that was singing, but whatever. They are drawn there by this ceremony that they're doing, and I'm assuming they're going to kill them. They're going to take their tape. They're going to record whatever the hell happens on there. Maybe the screams are them killing the bird watchers. I don't know. But then people come look for them, and that's how they end up getting found, is because people are searching for the bird watchers that went missing in that area,
Yeah.
which then would make it that he's the bridge that gets them home, because during the dinner in which he was being feasted on is what
Yeah.
brought them over. Them being brought over is what brings people to them eventually to
Yeah.
get them. So maybe that is the bridge. Maybe that's exactly what was supposed to happen. Or, once again, that would suggest that it's supernatural, though,
Sure.
right? If you don't want the show to be supernatural, if you're someone on the side of that it is not, that this is all in their head, then there is no bridge. Then there is no, like him leading them to this. It would all be coincidental. It'd all be happenstance. It would not be because of anything that they did. It's just they were going to get found however they were going to get found,
Yeah.
and this isn't going to matter. But if you are someone who's leaning towards the supernatural element, then that would, I think, potentially explain how he is the bridge,
Yeah.
if that is correct.
Sorry, I'm trying to check your mic. Make sure it's on.
Okay.
um yeah, I sure, I think that
If that's what
if
happens.
that's what
Yeah.
happens, that would make sense for why the Vision would say that he's a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Um it does feel like it's going to lead into the direction of them killing those people, because it has a really, like, the ending is very funny of them just sitting there and like being like hi, and then like the guy looking over and seeing a decapitated head and being like what the, like freaking out about that.
Yeah.
So, and obviously we hear part of the tape because in the future Shauna calls Van and Ty over and they
Yeah.
listen to it in the car, and we hear what sounds like young Shauna being like, how do you work this thing, how do you turn it on? And then it cuts away from them and cuts back to like screaming and shrieking sounds. So I would think that they do end up killing those people. How that happens, the other big thing that happens in the past, aside from Ben dying and them coming in contact with other people, is that because of what Natalie does, she's not the leader anymore, and Shauna is the leader now,
Yeah.
which is a really not cool thing, because young Shauna at this point is like very vengeful and very um she's just like a lot more, like she's harder, I guess,
Yeah.
than what Natalie was. Like Natalie was really trying, like she was playing the game that they're all playing, but she was trying to be fair about
Yeah.
things as much as possible. And like I really felt like young Natalie was trying to hold on to this sense of like civility and like, you know, just like let's not be totally wild animals. I don't feel like Shauna's in that place. And Melissa
No.
is such a bad influence for her. Like she's constantly just like, kind of throwing salt into wounds with people and kicking up fires here and there, like for Shauna. And anyway, so I really won't be surprised if like Shauna ends up telling them to kill these people. Like I feel like they could leave. I feel like these people should potentially be able to take them home. But what's going to happen is that they're going to be like, we can't explain that we killed and ate our coach. Like, we can't let
Yeah.
them live
Right.
because, like, when we go home, we're going to
Because
go to
yeah.
jail.
Because what they saw.
So that's what's going to happen. And I think Shauna's going to convince everybody that they need to kill these people and, like, try and find their way home another way. So that's going to be really awful. Anyway, yeah. And then as far as like more of the future stuff, I guess her and Callie, Shauna and Callie kind of have some interesting moments here.
Yeah, she plants a recording device, it's her phone, on her, records the conversation. We see multiple other conversations that are titled there. I didn't get to pause it and look at
Yeah.
them to see if they meant anything or if they were just random other recordings. But this is the one she puts in her bag, and then Shauna finds it, discovers it, shuts it off, deletes it. But she's an older person. No, she's my age, but she's not very technologically savvy because you have to go into recently deleted and delete it. Which Callie gets a hold of the phone, checks, has the recording. Yeah. So she is going to be able to listen to this, and we'll be able to hear, as she hears, more of what happens because we only hear the beginning and the end before they shut it off. I'd like to hear everything in between. Whether or not we're going to hear that from Callie's perspective or we're just going to see it in another episode, I'd probably lean towards we're just going to see it take place. I'm assuming that that's Shauna's young voice on the tape being like, how does this thing work? And then it cuts to them screaming. It could be the people who found them
Yeah.
are part of the people who are screaming for their lives, and then the girls are going wild and chasing them and screaming. Why they would choose to record such a thing,
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe they're trying to get them, I don't know, like maybe they're trying to like get them to confess to killing Ben or something. Like, I have no idea what they could even
It's
possibly
weird.
be doing with that tape. Maybe another, I have no idea. But she does threaten Callie, which I thought was kind of odd because I was like, and like, or what? Like, what are you gonna do?
It
Um,
seems like she's like threatening to slap her or something.
yeah, she's like, what does she say? Like,
She says, "You gotta leave before I do something I regret."
yeah, I was like,
Uh,
regret what?
so I can only assume that she's gonna like hit her or something.
We did find it funny when she was like, "You're just a kid," and she was like, "I was your age," and I'm like, "Girl, you're 30 years old."
Yeah, we were
These
laughing.
actresses are so much older than
um,
their characters.
yeah, I think their whole nobody in the show is totally functional, and Shauna's family specifically is like, there's just so many problems, and everything with Callie, like, it makes total sense that she would want to know what's happening and like what's on the tape. And Shauna just is very, very controlling person. Like, when it comes down to it, like, she is a she's that kind of person that's like, it's happening my way or it's not happening at all. Like, we're doing what I want to do, we're doing it the way I want to do it.
Yeah,
Like, she doesn't really do a lot of like, what's the word, when you like come to an agreement with somebody, there's a word I'm thinking of. Anyway,
compromise.
yeah, she doesn't really compromise things or do
No,
compromises. So yeah, and Callie is, just at that stage where she's,
yeah, a she's a dictator. She's
yeah.
definitely not diplomatic in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form.
um yeah, and then, yeah, everything with Misty is really great this episode too. I think she, like, we already kind of talked a little bit about it. She gets to some answers as far as, or to more answers along the path of who killed Lottie, and finding out that Ty is like now a suspect, and her and Walter are like kind of working together. Like, Walter has some limousine driver drop off Lottie's
Trash.
trash,
Yeah,
and then Misty gets the fingernail stuff underneath Lottie's nails analyzed, but she doesn't have anything to analyze it against. So she sends it to Walter,
yeah,
which we know that Walter definitely has Shauna's DNA.
yeah.
Um, so there's that.
I mean, that's very convenient for us as the audience to know that he has her hair. If he's collected her hair, it's very possible he's collected other samples. So I think us as the audience are just going to fill in that one person that we know he has the DNA of, which is just kind of an easy fix of like, oh, well, he's got the DNA of this character, must be her. And it's like, he might also have collected Ties and Vans and whoever else's. And it's going to be revealed like, he's going to be like, I have a DNA match or whatever. And we're going to be like, yep, see, it's Shauna. And then it's going to be Ty or something. Or eventually, I mean, we're 6 episodes in to this 10 episode season. This Hillary Swank, reveal of being Melissa or whatever. Where the hell is she? Is that ever going to happen? It's kind of wild. They announced her and she's yet to be in this. So yeah, I think that with the Misty DNA stuff, it seems very. The reason it's like, I don't know, because he clearly has Shauna's stuff, and she has the DNA, and it's like, what else would it be? It seems too obvious.
Sure.
That I'm just kind of like, would it really be that obvious? Is it really just gonna? Because that's already the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that's already the answer, we don't need to connect those dots any further.
We don't, but the characters would.
They do, but it's just not going to be much of a reveal. When
I don't think
it's
DNA. Going to be Shauna. I think he's going to like test it against Shauna, and it won't be that.
Yeah. I can see that too.
But now they have
Misty hates her.
Right, and now they have something that they can, like, it can be like, all right, now we got to get Ty's DNA, and we got to get, like, especially Ty's DNA, because Misty has that tip already. So I think that's just, it's going to lead us along that path.
Yep.
So
yeah. Okay, I mean, that's the big stuff for sure. Hope all of you are pleased this week. Callie did like 85% of the talking. I wonder if we'll get any comments. God, let Jason speak, because we sure as fuck get a lot of that the other way around when I talk a lot. But I was trying to just step back and be like, all right, you want to hear what Kaylee's got to say? Have at it. I'm fine with that. She can talk the whole fucking time. I'll just sit here and give thumbs up.
Like, yep.
I'll just do sign language or something. I'll shut up completely. The last thing I'll say on the matter, this is completely pointless, so you can click off. But I just thought it was a funny little side note here. When freaking, why am I blanking on his name right now? Jeff.
Oh yeah. Jeff.
When Jeff says that he's the snack master, and she's like, "Oh, I would just come back with like those little orange crackers with peanut butter, which are good snacks, by the way."
I don't like those.
I do, but they're okay. Okay, putting on that aside, he comes back with like bunches of bags of Cheetos.
Yeah, he comes back with tasty snacks.
Okay, so while those are tasty snacks, if she is having like a low blood sugar that she feels like she's gonna pass out from, yes, those are like simple carbohydrates that will raise her blood sugar quickly. But I thought he was gonna come back with like healthier snacks. When he said I'm like the snack master, and she was like, I'm gonna get these, crappy crackers or whatever, I thought he was gonna come back with like beef jerky or like something a little more healthy and prone to like help her health, because she was feeling off and like hadn't eaten in a while.
I definitely didn't think that
if you haven't eaten for days, you're needing a meal. You don't need fucking Cheetos. Okay, Cheetos is not what your body is craving when you haven't eaten. In fact, your body never needs Cheetos. Okay, those are not for you to eat. I know, I'm a health food nut, so I'm like looking at Cheetos like that's poison, number one. But I'm just looking at it like that. I found that to be funny, that she's like feeling ill from not having eaten for days, and he's bringing back just like genuine garbage. Anyways, that's my own little vague, but I was just looking at it like, fucking Cheetos? Really? Go get your wife a meal, bro. Why don't you go get her food? If she hasn't eaten in like hours or days, she needs to eat something.
Yeah.
As I said, pointless. I hope everyone clicked off, because that was a totally pointless little add-on. And this is why Callie is now going to be doing all the talking.
I was going to say, if you're still here, let us know if you want me to do more of the talking. Have Jason shut up about Cheetos. And
the snack master over here. You don't want me getting your snacks. I'll bring back the healthy shit. Then people will be like, what is this garbage? Where's my freaking Snickers and my Cheetos and my... Ugh.
I haven't had a Snickers in years.
While they
So
taste
long.
good, they are poison. those are just absolute
I
garbage.
think there's a lot of really tasty, healthy snacks now. I mean, you can pretty much get like
There are.
healthier versions of, like chips and all kinds of things that are like basically the same thing, just not as like crappy for you.
He
So,
also, like, him and Callie were playing cards,
yeah,
and they had like a
tons of candy.
load of candy.
Yeah, well, because he went to the vending machine. That's what he said. He was
But
like,
it
"There's
was
a
like
vending
small
machine."
pieces of candy.
I know. I don't. I'm
Where did he
assuming that
get
there
that
was these
many
like
pieces of candy?
I don't know. I'm assuming there were like baggies, like
There was
smaller
seriously
bags.
like
But there was a lot. He had a
50
lot.
pieces of
He went
candy
and,
on
like,
that bed.
yeah. Maybe he went out. I don't know. Maybe he went to the like some hotels have
That was like
like
Halloween
some hotels
candy,
have
like
like
fun size Halloween candy bag that you would buy and then throw out all on the bed.
well, yeah. But some hotels have like a little like market kind of area that you can get things, like
He's like 50 pieces of candy and 8 bags of Cheetos,
yes,
please.
healthy.
Yeah, my wife is dying upstairs.
Yeah.
All right. That's that. Thanksgiving.
Yes.
That's their Thanksgiving meal.
It is.
That's what
Ben is
that's
their
what Canadians
Thanksgiving
eat for
meal.
Thanksgiving is Cheetos and
Humans?
candy.
Oh.
Oh yes, and humans.
Okay.
Damn Canadians. Fucking cannibals. Cannibal
Canadians?
Canadians. That is not gonna work. It's not gonna work at all. Canadables.
Cannibals?
Canadables.
Canada?
I made it work. They're Canadables. All right, we're done. This is why I don't talk. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Canadables. I like that.